So there's several different ways to do the TJ-6 stretch. I decided to do mine behind the door. Some guys are doing it behind the door, some guys are doing it over the wheel well, some guys are using an LJ tub. But that's not an option for me. What I want to do is leave the wheel well intact and separate everything by the spot welds and just make one single cut through the tub wall. Everything else moves back through the spot welds, and I add my 15 inches on the floor pan. So I separate here, move back, add 15 inches at the floor pan level for the floor, and I add my 15 inches in front of the wheel well here. I bought a test section off eBay just to see if I could do what I had in mind, and it worked out. What I did was, first I took the belt rail off, and then I marked my cut line. I did that before I took any of the spot welds out because I wanted the sheet metal to be as rigid as possible so I could make a clean cut. So I made my cut. I used a jigsaw. Actually, I used a hacksaw to cut down to this point. Then I used an angle grinder, but it was a little sloppy, so I got a jigsaw in here, and the blade was just shallow enough that I could make a clean cut all the way down without hitting anything on the other side, which is important. So after I made that cut, I went to work on the spot welds. There's a whole series of spot welds. Basically the way it works is this outer sheet metal is attached to the wheel well sheet metal inside and the cage stanchion, this cage stanchion here, through a series of spot welds. And what I'm looking to do is move the wheel well back with this section, so I had to pick my spot welds carefully and only take out the spot welds that attach this sheet metal here and the wheel well to the cage stanchion, but I didn't want to separate this sheet metal from the wheel well. So I took out these 6 spot welds here. There's 3 up here, but I left actually there's more. If you had a whole tub section, there's more spot welds up here that attach the wheel well to this section here. So I only took out these 6 spot welds here, and then I came down here. I took out this single spot weld which holds this to the underside, to the floor pan, and then came inside here. I took out these 6 spot welds. These spot welds hold the wheel well sheet metal to the cage stanchion on the inside. They hold the wheel well to this, so those had to come out. Then there are, it's a little dark, you can't really see them, but there's several spot welds that'll be along the inside of the wheel well, on the bottom of the wheel well. There's a little lip here. You got to take those out, and once you get those out, then you come around the inside and you got structural glue between, let me get out of the light, structural glue between the wheel well sheet metal, the cage stanchion, and the outer sheet metal. Basically what Mopar does is, what Mopar did is they sandwiched the stanchion sheet metal, almost dropped it. They sandwiched this flap of the stanchion between the outer sheet metal and the wheel well sheet metal. So what you got to do is clear out all that structural glue and wiggle the outer sheet metal and the wheel well. You got to wiggle those out away from this flap of the cage stanchion. And so once you get all the spot welds broken, you can get all the structural glue out, and you really start to get some wiggle room. At least I did with this section. And so what you're able to do, put the phone what you're able to do once you get all that apart is you pull it clean apart. So that's the whole tub wall with one cut, and 6, 12, 13, 14, and that's 14 spot welds, and the spot welds along the inside of the wheel well. And that seems to be the cleanest way to separate, and that'll be the easiest way to patch too, because you'll have a nice straight line. You won't have, a lot of the other guys are cutting at angles so they can avoid touching the stanchion, and I don't really have a problem with that, because if it's only held together with 6 spot welds here and 6 spot welds here, which I'm going to replace, and it's not really a structural risk in the first place. So that's where I'm at right now. I'll post back when I get some updates.